change, making heat waves more common. Right now on the National Weather Desk, record heat as the mercury topples all-time records. We have important information about what it can do to your body.
Confusion, delirium as we call it, as well as loss of consciousness.
Hurricane season. Analysts now say this year will not be below average after all. Washington wildfire. The ton of fire isn't growing, but it's still burning.
The nature of wildfires has just changed over the years.
Snowmelt mosquitoes. How the record-setting winter has led to an explosion of these pesky bugs.
If there's still snow and snowmelt water on the ground, there's going to be mosquitoes.
And ocean hazards. Rip currents are not the only risk you face at the beach.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. This has been a record-setting week for the planet, for planet Earth. Monday's global daily temperature was the highest since record-keeping began. Tuesday's was even higher, and that temperature stayed the same on Wednesday. All this comes as new data shows June was the hottest month in history. Forecasters anticipate the records will just keep breaking, with climate change making heat waves more common and more powerful. Mandy Gaither has more on what the extreme temperatures do to your body and your mind and how to stay safe.
It's the deadliest weather event in the U.S. Every year, the heat causes more than 700 deaths on average and more than 67,000 emergency room visits.
It doesn't take much. It can be an hour or two that can lead to the cells and tissues of the body starting to feel the effect of it.
Dr. Ian Sin with Mayo Clinic says in the heat, your body tries to cool off in several ways. But when the temperature is extremely high, it becomes harder for your body to cool itself down. The most serious heat-related illness is heat stroke.
And that is when you start having confusion, delirium as we call it, as well as loss of consciousness and more severe brain injury as a result of the effects of heat.
Sin says when that happens, it can hurt not only the brain, but other organs like the heart, lungs, and kidneys as well.
It's almost an inflammation that gets created. There is destruction of proteins, the membranes of the cells, and that leads to cell death.
To keep your body safe in the heat, stay hydrated with water, avoiding sugary beverages, which can add to dehydration. Stay cool in an air-conditioned area and wear lightweight, light-colored, loose-fitting clothes. Sin says those who are most vulnerable to the heat should avoid it.
If there's any cause of concern, definitely seeking health care is important.
And in Myrtle Beach, it's been downright hot. Like many places across the country, they're expecting it to swelter for several more days. One thing that's different there, making it feel hotter outside, is the dew point. That measure of moisture is a lot higher than usual.
Observed dew points at least 83 degrees, which is on the high end of the spectrum of extreme for us. So we get, as a result of that high dew point, then temperatures in the lower 90s can make it feel absolutely miserable.
Another reason it feels so hot in Myrtle Beach, they've had nighttime temperatures that are higher than normal. That's also making the days feel so much more hotter. While the extreme heat continues in parts of the country today, the threat of severe weather is once again a factor. The highest risk is in central and southern plains, including parts of Colorado, Kansas, Oklahoma, and also Texas. Hail and wind are the primary risks with these scattered thunderstorms. The Atlantic hurricane season is only 1 month old right now, but already experts are increasing their forecast for the year. Colorado State University analysts are now calling for above average season. The updated forecast calls for 18 named storms, 9 hurricanes. You're looking at the numbers there, with 4 of them being major hurricanes of category 3 or higher. The original forecast back in April called for 13 named storms, 6 hurricanes, with 2 being major storms. There were 3 named storms in June that did not become hurricanes. Analysts originally expected increased wind shear from El Nino to disrupt tropical disturbances, but the dramatic warming of the Atlantic Ocean led them to revise that forecast, and some are now calling it this Atlantic Nino. The Tunnel 5 fire is still burning this morning in the Columbia River Gorge in southern Washington state. The good news is that the fire isn't growing much, but as Joe English explains, Washington state officials expect the first fire season to just get worse.
Some level 3 go now evacuations have been downgraded to level 2 be set. It may be because of new and improved firefighting efforts.
Hey, send us a couple of, Hueys, send us some scoopers, send us some fire bosses.
Washington Commissioner of Public Lands Hillary Franz says that's the way firefighting efforts in Washington state used to be. Now, new air support like the Kodiak aircraft that can spot firefighters on the ground from 10,000 feet in the air, send them an image of what they're walking into, gives them a huge advantage. And legislation that pumped more money into firefighting resources, well, that means even more help, even sooner from the air. Franz says the nature of wildfires has just changed over the years.
That's when I decided we're going to take our own destiny into our own hands. We're going to control those air resources. So when we need them, we always have them available. If we don't need them, we can share them like we did for Alberta, with those horrific fires just last month. So that's why we've moved now we'll have 37 this year air resources under exclusive use. We're going to need every single one of them. It's already predicted.
Concern about wildfires continue to grow all around Washington state. On top of dry conditions there, the timing is amping up challenges for fire crews dealing with brush fires, especially with some people still setting off all those 4th of July fireworks. Mo Hatter has more on what they're facing this season, and it seems things are just getting started.
Here in West Seattle, just take a look to the left of me here. This is the damage left from that brush fire. And with 4th of July fireworks, there could be more for crews to deal with. Concerned neighbors tell us people were setting fireworks off illegally in this subdivision. We spoke with others who say they had seconds to escape the brush fire that burned just feet away. With the dangerously dry conditions, Seattle Fire has responded to 65 brush fires within city limits, just less than a week into July. And with the fireworks being set off, really makes matters worse.
What we can say about last year is that we responded to 16 significant fireworks-related fires, including 2 structure fires, and we're essentially on pace for that as well for this year.
To give you more of an idea of how dry it's been, the National Weather Service says the first half of the year has been the driest since 2008. They also say this has been the 3rd driest season in 4 decades.
Multiple wildfires are burning north of Globe, Arizona. That's about 90 miles east of Phoenix. One of them, the Flying V fire, has shut down several miles of U.S. Highway 60 in both directions. It's not clear when it's going to reopen. So far, more than 700 acres have been burned, and as of Thursday night, the fire is 0% contained. The Bureau of Indian Affairs says the cause is under investigation, but they do know it was caused by a human. This week marks 1 year since an EF2 tornado tore through the town of Goshen, Ohio, about 20 miles northeast of Cincinnati. The tornado was not deadly, but it destroyed nearly 300 homes and businesses and took months to rebuild. As Luke Jones reports, some cleanup is still underway right now.
Today in Goshen Township, you'll hear cars and you'll hear lawnmowers. But no one can forget the 130-mile-per-hour winds they heard 1 year ago.
And I thought, boy, I never heard a wind like this. And the windows was popping and making noise.
Paul Lyons went to his basement and waited for the storm to pass. No time at all, compared to the 5 months he waited for repairs after a tree came crashing through his roof. The tornado carved a path 750 yards wide and 2.5 miles long, damaging 298 structures, including this home. A new one stands in its place today. The tornado ripped through Goshen Fire Station 18. Thankfully, none of the people inside were injured, but a year later, this building still sits empty and badly damaged as the township decides whether to repair it or demolish it and rebuild from scratch.
The big holdup is code interpretation. Fire stations are now essential facilities, so we fall under sort of a different category.
Patrols for sharks off Long Island beaches are increasing after 5 people were apparently bitten earlier this week. The incidents happened on Monday and Tuesday. New York authorities say all of them were likely shark bites. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll talk with an expert about how you and your family can stay safe in the water on your next trip to the beach. And blueberry season has officially begun. We'll head to Michigan to see how the crop is doing.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti. Look at the Northeast. The heat is on in the Northeast. It's going to be another humid day with temps surging back into the 80s to near 90 degrees. Now, our greatest chance for a thunderstorm, some strong to severe, will be into New York and perhaps into northern parts of Vermont. I want to keep an eye on this area right here. This takes us through the afternoon, around 2:30 or so. Those showers and storms fall apart. Saturday looks to be another warm and muggy day. We have less of a risk for thunderstorms, but there could be a few pop-up showers.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. Going to have some partial clouds and muggy conditions to start on our Friday. By lunchtime, the clouds begin to bubble, and there are your showers and thunderstorms up and down the megalopolis corridor, up and down 95 as we head through about 4 or 5 o'clock, through about sunset, then those pass east. Otherwise, outside of that, it's a hot day once again with temperatures in the 80s to right around 90 degrees. Stay cool. That's the scene here.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Here's a look at your southeast forecast highs for the day. We're looking at Nashville getting up to 91 degrees, Birmingham 91, 93 in Raleigh, Charleston 93 degrees, 94 in West Palm, Jacksonville 95. The heat index will feel more like in the lower 100s as we go through the day. We'll get plenty of sunshine along the I-95 corridor in the Carolinas through Georgia. Florida starting off with some sunshine, but afternoon showers and thunderstorms will pop up from Atlanta to Raleigh to Columbia down through Jacksonville and West Palm.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Why did the loggerhead cross the sand in daylight? This turtle was first spotted coming on shore to lay her eggs on Hutchinson Island, Florida, and recorded ambling back to the water. An on-site biologist told meteorologist John Gum it's very rare for endangered loggerheads to venture ashore to lay eggs during the day. They usually do so at night. This behavior may only be spotted once or twice a season.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
The dangers of rip currents have been making news lately, but there are a lot of other hazards to think about when getting into the ocean. Emily Gracie sat down with an ocean safety expert, and he explained how to equip yourself with all the knowledge you need so that your trip to the beaches this summer can be a positive one.
Some of the other hazards, from large breaking waves to just near-shore conditions that have been really impacted by strong winds or weather changes, submerged objects. You look at one of the drills lifeguards work on the most is spinal cord injuries, people coming out of a wave or diving into the ocean and having a traumatic injury. I mean, rip currents are a thing, but they're also very localized. And in most cases, while they can be very fast and very strong, in most locations, if you don't have a lot of wave and water moving around, they won't be that strong.
So tell me the steps I should take if I see someone in trouble out of the ocean.
We're telling people, stop first, pause and assess the situation. Call 911, alert a lifeguard if there's one back beach or someone down at another beach, or have someone else call 911. Look for something that floats or something like a rope or a towel that will allow you to reach or assist the person while you stay safe. And if nothing else, a lot of times people, if they're encouraged to relax, can float on their backs.
All right, so this is all very scary, but your campaign is about ocean positivity, right?
The collateral trauma of seeing someone in trouble or experiencing a rescue or a drowning event really can shape not just that individual, but in some of the areas we've worked, it can have an impact on generations. You know, a parent will pass that fear or concern about the ocean to their children. So I think it's really key that as we encourage people to, you know, like the National Marine Sanctuary says this summer, get into your sanctuaries, go and experience these amazing places. But we also want to make sure that they have the tools and knowledge to make sure they do that safely, whether it's, you know, knowing about large breaking waves or wildlife or cold temperatures. So we want to make sure that you got a lifetime of positive experiences and you got a lot of people around you to enjoy that as well.
Well, if you want to know more about water safety, head over to YouTube to hear Bruckner talk about how to teach your kids to be wave safe. Just search the National Weather Desk. We've even posted links to educational videos you can watch with your family. Another risk when near the water in the summer months, mosquitoes. In parts of the Sierra Nevada, they are seeing a ton of them. The reason? Snowmelt is such a major problem that they have been given the nickname snowmelt mosquitoes. Luckily, they are mostly contained to the high Sierra Mountains. This type of mosquito is found every summer in the mountains and around rivers in the area, but experts say this year is abnormal.
When folks are visiting, going hiking, going up near Lake Tahoe, what they will likely find is if there's still snow and snowmelt water on the ground, there's going to be mosquitoes, and there could be numerous mosquitoes.
And mosquitoes can be dangerous. In portions of California, West Nile virus is already active and spreading due to flying pests. Muna Sadiq in Redding takes a look at how officials are dealing with the issues and ways you can help protect yourself.
Since 2004, 268 residents have been infected with the virus, 10 of whom actually died. In 2021, that number was 12 people, and last year, 3 people were infected, although officials say they don't exactly know why that number dropped. Officials also say mosquitoes contract the virus when they feed on infected birds, and then they spread it when they go out and bite people. They're asking people to call a hotline if they happen to stumble across any dead birds.
What the dead bird does is it just gives us a pinpoint to say, hey, we're detecting virus in this specific area, and we're able to locate that throughout the county and know logistically where we can send resources and where or not there might be a hot spot for virus based on where the mosquitoes are moving.
In addition to reporting dead birds, they like to remind people to drain any standing water because those are usually breeding hotspots for mosquitoes.
Well, if you love blueberries, the picking season has officially started around southwest Michigan. Cicely Porter checked out this year's yield at a place called the Blueberry Ranch located just outside of South Bend.
Not much is better than freshly picked fruit on a hot summer day. Thousands of people look forward to picking their own fresh berries at local farms.
It's about the experience as much as it is about the blueberries.
Blueberries are ready to be picked at the Blueberry Ranch. Since 1953, the ranch has been serving Michiana. A lot of hard work goes into growing these small berries. This year's mixed weather was a concern, but the owner said that the dry spell did not affect the blueberries. And in fact, this year is one of the best crops they've ever had.
That dry spell, we have 2 different kinds of irrigation. We kept everything watered. The size is very good. It's a very excellent crop.
The Blueberry Ranch is one of the largest organic blueberry farms in the Midwest, attracting people from all over the Midwest. One family from Indianapolis area make it a tradition to come to the ranch every year.
I used to come here when I was 8 with my Aunt Becky. I'm 18 now, so actually probably 10 years then. But yes, it's always very fun.
To pick your own berries, it costs just under $3 a pound at Blueberry Ranch. Keep in mind that blueberry season lasts through mid-August.
Independence Day celebrations are over, but there are plenty of other festivals taking place this weekend. Here's a look at a few and how the weather could impact them.
The annual Moxie Festival takes place this weekend in Lisbon, Maine. The event celebrates all things Moxie. It's Maine's official soft drink that has a unique taste of both sweet and bitter. You might be wondering how the weather's shaping up for the big event here in Lisbon. Well, you can expect temperatures to be pretty warm on Friday. Temps will surge back into the 80s. We'll have high humidity. Saturday, there's the slight risk for a shower or thunderstorm. We're near 80 degrees. Any morning fog's going to burn off. Look for a lot of low clouds and fog on Sunday. I'm hopeful for some afternoon sunny breaks. It's not quite as hot with highs in the 70s. Enjoy.
We'll talk about weekend festivals in the Washington, D.C. metro area. It is the Smithsonian Folklife
Festival. It is a big event this year talking about the Ozarks, faces and facets of a region, also creative encounters, living religions in the U.S. Saturday is going to be a muggy day, mid and upper 80s. We can't rule out a couple of showers and storms, so just keep that in mind. With all those museums, you can duck inside briefly if you need to. Sunday looks like the wetter day. Yes, there'll be some drier time, but with those showers, definitely could have a plan to get indoors. Also, temperatures will be a little less intense in the low 80s. That's what's happening across the D.C. metro area for the weekend.
And if you're looking for something to do this weekend, check out our podcast, Off the Radar. This week's episode is all about ocean exploration and submersibles. You can find Off the Radar on Apple Music, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And time now for a short break. We leave you with views about Tuna, Pennsylvania.
Good Friday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest. We've got scattered thunderstorms across a lot of the plains for the day today. Fairly dry in the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes, but that rain transitions to the east into those neck of the woods as we head into Saturday. Northern Plains pretty comfortable, be around 80 for the highs heading into your Saturday. Sunday, a lot of the Midwest will be dry and sunny with that rain still continuing to work its way out to the east on Sunday.
Good Friday morning to you. Meteorologist Chris Suchan. Our forecast today across the region, starting off with a little bit of rain in South Texas. And through the day, keeping an eye on North Texas, Oklahoma, a little bit of Arkansas for risk of late day heavy storms. 80s and 90s for highs in the evening. We'll see as some storms develop, a complex perhaps with wind and hail. And then into Saturday's forecast, still a risk for a few heavy storms in the northern tier of our region. And temperatures starting to heat up. Most areas working well up into the 80s and 90s.
Well, hi there, everybody, in TGIF, heading deeper into the month of July, and the heat is certainly on for most of us out west. Most notably, of course, Phoenix, back to 112 today in the Valley of the Sun. Thunderstorms continuing to bubble up around Boise, and you see the fog in San Francisco, keeping things barely in the 60s around the Golden Gate Bridge. Again, high pressure keeping things hot for most of the Northwest. Thunderstorms breaking out near Denver and Salt Lake City later today. And that's the scene from here.
Watching the National Weather Desk.
Earlier this week, some sky watchers got to take in July's full moon. In case you missed it, meteorologist Dave Dirks explains why this one was so special.
This week's full moon, a sky watcher's treat. Have a look at this gorgeous shot here. This from Scott County, Virginia. And you can see the full moon as it was shining through some clouds above some valley fog. Absolutely gorgeous. Well, the full moon takes on the name in July anyway, the buck moon, because it's around this time of year that buck's antlers emerge. Male deer shed their antlers and grow new ones every year, hence the name buck moon. But July's full moon also marks the first of 4 consecutive supermoons. A supermoon occurs when the moon is at its closest distance to the Earth in its elliptical orbit. It's called perigee. and the moon is around 14,000 miles closer to the Earth on average. During this phase, it looks brighter and larger than usual.
And we love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on all of your favorite social media platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk. Hit the screen. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for joining us Monday on the National Weather Desk. We'll tell you the difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke and what to do in each case. I'm Angela Brown. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you right back here next week.